I don't understand is how the NCAA, television networks, conferences, universities, and coaches can continue to pull in millions and in some cases billions of dollars in revenue off the efforts of college student athletes across the country.
Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome in to the Maize and Blue Reviews. Good afternoon, Michigan football. Yeah, coming at you an hour later than usual, and check your local listings. We're not exactly sure when this pod in football season is going to be played, but right around this time. So one thing that I will try to do is find a uniform time and go with it. But with these press conferences that go on, and now sometimes with me going down to cover these press conferences, I can't have a podcast go live at 1:00 if the coach is talking at the same time. So we'll see how that works. It's great to be with you here. Game week. We waited an awful long time, and these last couple weeks and then days, it was like, whoa, but here we are, and it is exciting to be here and be able to talk with you. I feel like I got a real firm grasp on everything with the team that, in terms of, what they're going to do, the coaches, the players, the personnel, the too deep. I feel like I got a pretty good grasp on that. So I'll give you some of the highlights and some of the latest things as there's some, some risers, some breaking news and, some things like that. You just heard Jim Harbaugh, he talked today starting out game week, and he, had brought some notes with him. And the last time 2 weeks ago or so, he was asked about Oregon and Washington, and then the state of college football. And we know what he has going on with the NCAA. So he came out with a bunch of thoughts on the state of college football, but really you can narrow it down to a Harbaugh wanting revenue sharing for college football playoffs. And he said the current status is unacceptable. And then he said it won't survive. Now, we talk a lot about, different situations. And, when I hear that, he didn't have any solutions. He's just advocating for the players. Like, he was asked, hey, what about, do you want the players to be employees of the university? He didn't have an answer for that. What about Title IX? No, he wants some smart people, lawyers, I think he mentioned, to get in a room and hash it out. Now, this always comes down like, everybody loves the players and, you pay your ticket prices and you pay your money for the TV, but there's all that money is going somewhere. And there's going to be a lot of people that they don't want to see the money going all to the players, and there are a lot. It's a very confusing. I could sit here for hours and talk about it. I don't know. I shouldn't say it's confusing, but the majority of that money that comes in for TV, I mean, we're talking, with the Big Ten network and also, with the other entities on TV, that money's coming in because of football. Number one. And number two, basketball. Other than that, not a lot of revenue. Yeah, here and there, different schools, revenue, but it's football and basketball. Can you separate those two and then have everyone else? Because if you start revenue sharing with football players, you need to revenue share across the board with all of your sports. Should they be cutting all of the other sports to pour the money into football? That's, to me, one of the things that is coming down to. Can you just say, hey, let's just put football over here, they're getting all the money, and then we'll take the other money and share it, and we'll break it down. Who's bringing in the money is going to get paid. Now, in a lot of businesses, the people that are the ones that are the talent, they are the ones, and the reason that money's coming in, they are the ones that are getting paid the most. But There needs to be some equality there. I don't have the answers for that. So I'm just talking a lot about that situation and those stumbling blocks, the biggest ones. Like, would I care if the players got a cut of that money instead of it going to, I don't know, the rowing team? Like, I don't, like if you make yourself sound at times, kind of like a jerk, like saying, say to hell with the other sports. And what about Olympic sports? People that went to those, went to, like, let's just say Michigan, people that went to Michigan, like they seem to care about like the Olympic sports. The vast majority of people that, and the ones that you're paying your cable subscriptions and the ones that are going to the games, they're going to football and basketball. They don't really care about anything else. Like, so they would say, who cares if there's, a women's field hockey? What are you going to say to them? So I don't know. I feel like it's like a politician coming out there and saying, "Yeah, you know what? I don't want any new taxes. I want everyone to be able to go to college for free." And everybody's like, "Yeah, let's go." And it's like, wait a second. I mean, so I think it's fine. The players, I'm sure, appreciate the coach advocating. Anybody that's like, "Hey, I think that this person should get more money," you're gonna love them. And there's a lot of people that are like, they're right with them. Like, let's see them get the money. But what are we gonna do? I don't. There's not. I've never really heard anybody that had any good answers about this. Title IX, making these players actual employees of the universities. Those are stumbling blocks that once you make the players employees, all of these benefits that these players enjoy and the scholarships and everything else, that's going out the window. And so then it becomes like it's going towards the end. Well, then it becomes this business. And I don't know, there's a little bit of a line now where it's mixed, where you say student athlete, the players are getting paid now. It's they're still it's still a student athlete. Now, if the players are employees from the university, I don't know, do they even have to go to school to play football? I don't know. It's constantly changing. So maybe like you hear a lot of these things. No, that could never happen. I don't know. Like it wasn't so long ago, we'd say players are never going to get paid. They're never going to expand the conference. Notre Dame's never going to, like all the things that we used to say for like 10, 20, 30 years. And, now it's all true. So, it's something to talk about, and it gets you going a little bit. Everybody's got a little bit of an opinion on it. And, Harbaugh out there front and center talking about it today. Okay. Well, what are we going to talk about? I'll give you what I'm looking at with Sherrone Moore, a little bit of news about how things are going to go. The operation for Michigan with their coaches is the Pirates will be coming in on Saturday. So I'll give you the latest on that. Basketball has added a player right before school starts, but we are here game week and ready to talk about the team. So Jesse Minter is going to be the head coach for game one. Jesse Minter talked today for about 20 minutes about what it means to him and what it's going to be like and all the different things that it comes down to. My takeaway from Jesse Minter being the head coach, and it's not that big of a deal. It's overall not going to be that big of a deal. Like, I feel like, I know it sounds stupid, like I could coach the team on Saturday, but it puts a lot of twists and turns, and you'll be tired of it. You probably already are tired of it. But over the next 3 weeks, every broadcaster, certainly when they're doing the games, Michigan #2 without their head coach. And then, all the conversation, well, Jesse Minter, so there's going to be a lot of that kind of conversation. And some of it, not all of it, is going to be just like, hey, Michigan's great, pro Michigan. There'll be a lot of other people that'll be like, wow, this is kind of a cluster blink, because of where Michigan's at and everything else. So, the players, I feel like they'll do a really good job of, they go out there and practice and play football. But the media and the fans, we have to deal with all the other stuff. So there'll be a lot of back and forth. And so you just get ready for that over the over the next 3 weeks. Kirk Campbell, your quarterback coach, he is the one that's going to be calling the plays because Sherrone Moore is been suspended, a self-imposed. It wasn't Sherrone Moore. It was the athletic department. It was Ward Manuel saying, hey, this is the course of action. And so Sherrone Moore is not going to coach in game one. He is the offensive coordinator. First time, he had a chance to be the clear offensive coordinator. He was the co-offensive coordinator last year, but he won't get that chance. It is going to go to Kirk Campbell. He is going to be making the calls. And then the head coach with Jesse Minter, who usually is just dealing with the defensive meetings. He's been watching a little bit more what's going on with the offense. He's been maybe opening the door in the special teams rooms and things like that he has to do. So it makes things interesting. I mean, like if you really are, every detail, the procedures and all of that of how all of this operation is going to work. I don't know about it being fascinating. I find it a little interesting to see all of the mechanics behind it all. But really, it's Michigan. The curtain is going up. This team has a great chance to do a lot of good things. I mean, they're loaded. And they've been loaded in the past, but it seems like it's been a long time. It has been a long time since Michigan was looked at like this. And the thing to me that stands out, there's a lot of different. Well, what's the storyline? The number one thing is that Michigan can play with anybody in the country. Michigan football has as much talent as everyone in the country. I didn't feel like that 2 years ago when Michigan made the college football and played Georgia. Georgia was clearly the better team. You could see the talent out there. I don't feel like that with Michigan and Georgia this year. With the players that Michigan was able to get back because of name, image, and likeness, and the players that they were able to pull out of the transfer portal, 10 of them, and get them out on the field in different spots, wherever they'll be needed. And it looks like one of those transfers, one of the 10 transfers, Josh Wallace, he looks like he's going to be the starting corner 2, CB2, coming up on Saturday. So you can say, that really helps. Josiah Stewart out of Coastal Carolina. He is in the mix at rush edge. Now, is it 100% sure he's going to start on Saturday? No, it'll probably be, if I had to guess, McGregor and Harrell will be the starters, but Stewart's in the mix in a big-time rotation, and they totally haven't figured that out. Actually, both Harbaugh and Minter today mentioned that, the Michigan method of maybe starting Harrell and McGregor game one and then starting Josiah Stewart and Derek Moore in game two, and then, Harbaugh called it the Michigan method. I call it the McCarthy McNamara plan. That's what it was last year. Not 100% sure they're going to do that, but Stewart is in the mix. Ernest Hausman in the mix on the defensive side. Those are three key players that could be big for Michigan. Cam Good on that defensive line at defensive tackle. He was talking today in Ann Arbor. He been around the program for a year after transferring in from UCF, and he is in the mix in the 2 deep. No, he's not going to be the starter there, but getting, snaps and playing a pivotal role in a rotation. And Good is not part of the Big Ten, the Big Ten transfers that came in, but it just goes on and on. You go over the offensive line, we just go down tight end, and there you go, kicker. Let's go. So the overwhelming thing for me for Michigan as they are in game week here is they have a loaded team. They have as much talent as anybody in the country, and this can be a special season. That's how I see it. And yeah, just like everyone else, we're ready to see the game come off and play on Saturday. A lot of people like 3 easy games to start the season, and because Harbaugh is not going to be there and all that, it worked last year. You don't have to worry about losing any games. You should have a very, easy September where, it doesn't feel like, all will be lost like it can be. So, it should just be a lot of fun in September. It should be a lot of fun all season long, but you know how it goes. We can sit around talking about how everything looks and boy, this thing's just ready to go and blossom. And then, hell breaks loose. It has happened. So that's where I'm at, so starting here at this point and not knowing exactly when, I'm going to get the show consistently during football season. There are a lot of people that showed up. Richard is one. He's up on the screen at 1:00 and participated in the show. And you're the ones like, because, after the show is done, you can watch it anytime you want. But the one thing you can't do is participate and ask questions and that kind of thing. Really just hear from the people. So that's it. Gary was wondering where I was at. They're the 2:00 start time. Little curveball for you to start out the game week. JP is good. It is game week, Gary, and people are feeling good, looking good. Let's go. Scott saying that USC and Notre Dame both look good on Saturday. Brady Hoke got a nice win. Notre Dame certainly looked good against Navy. I'll buy that. USC, my downstairs TV was going to be on the Pac-12 network, and I saw that, but I ended up being, I don't want to say I was upstairs where I have the capability of watching TV, but as I was scanning through, I couldn't find the stupid SC game, and I kept people saying, well, the defense isn't all so hot. So I don't know. I guess I can't say I'll take your word for it, Scott. I was going to say I'm not sure SC, look good offensively. They look good, but what about a defense? JP's looking forward to seeing Roman Wilson in the number 1 jersey. Michael, not so fast, he's saying to Scott. We don't know how good those teams are. Well, Michael, that's college football. Get ready for it. Are we going to know how good Michigan is against East Carolina? No. Are we going to know how good they are against UNLV? Bowling Green? No. Are we going to know how good they are against Rutgers? No. At Nebraska? At Minnesota? Indiana? We might not know how good Michigan is. They got to play their rivalry game against Michigan State October 20th. Will we know how good Michigan is by Halloween? But, so what can you do about that? You do watch. It seems like Notre Dame, their transfer quarterback, he looked pretty good. So did their running game. So did the offensive line. I mean, right. But, how do we know how good any team is except we're going to see what Florida State and LSU are all about because they're playing coming up this week. And that's why, Michael, whoever wins that game should be number 1. They're going to get my vote at number 1 coming up. That's how it's done. Is Penny Fithian ready for some football? She's the GOAT. Yeah, she is. She is ready and good to go. Scott already throwing the first prediction out. Whoa, 42-21. I don't like that prediction. I mean, I don't mind 42. I'm more like 52 to a single digit. I mean, that's what. But I haven't. That's my first. My 52-9 is my first thought. 22 saying Harb's dropping the hammer. You get the conversation going, but you watch everybody that talks about what Jim Harbaugh had to say. Great idea, but we've been talking about this for a very long time. Okay, go ahead. Who's taking the money out of their pocket and putting it into the players? Is it going to be Santa Ona? Is the Michigan president going to say, you know what? We've got more than enough money. Let's give it to the players. Is it going to be Ward Manuel saying, let's start docking our own checks. Let's funnel all the money to all the athletics departments and everything that's going on here for the facilities and all the other players. Let's get it all to the players. All right. Yeah. So good. I think what you're going to do is when you hear people talk about this, can you boil it down? The current system, I would say, because of Title IX and because of all of the Olympic sports, if you just dealt with football, sure, they deserve a lot of the money, but you're going to get sued. You're immediately you're going to get sued. So Harbaugh suggested, well, let's get a bunch of smarty pants lawyers. Well, all the smarty pants lawyers, are you going to be able to go into the universities and say, hey, all the equality and being everybody sharing along is great, but let's take football and separate it from everybody else. Let's make them by themselves and let everybody else deal with everything else. Is that are there any lawyers on board? As soon as you see that, the argument could be the money part. Yeah, they're the ones that are the reason that all the money's coming in. Well, I think what your smarty pants lawyers are going to say is that, all right, well, you're going to have to cut a lot of Olympic sports. You're going to have to take Title IX and rewrite it. So those are and you're going to have to make athletes employees of the university. So once you start doing those kind of things, there's now other 100 can of worms that you have opened up. I don't say, like you say, well, there's a will, there's a way. Well, the players are getting paid right now. And so the current status quo, Jim Harbaugh says, is unacceptable. No, it's very acceptable. The things that have been going on in college football, they have in college sports, has it been unacceptable since they started? Because this has been going on since the start, that it's been unacceptable. So now it's unacceptable after things that have been doing for 100 years. Like, again, I think it's nice that Jim Harbaugh is advocating for his players, and the players, they all love it. And, you guys all love Michigan football. So you're like, yeah, let's go, Harbaugh. And we know that he's mad at the NCAA anyway. So it gives people the opportunity to say the NCAA is a joke. Why don't we take all the money that they're getting paid? But instead of coming out and saying that, the current status quo is unacceptable and won't survive, I would have liked a few answers. Hey, like for instance, instead of coaches being paid $3, $4, $5 million a year, let's put a cap on let's put a cap on a coaching movement as well. Let's put a cap on that money. Let's put a cap on how much money that you are going to have to pay for tickets to football. Let's put a cap on how much money that you're going to have to pay for your cable bill. Let's put those things down. And then we can start talking about, some of the other things. Because then you're giving back to the fans. Oh, do we care about the fans? So well, screw it. Pay as much as you want for the TV. But what about, what about the fans coming in? Do we care if they're spending thousands of dollars for tickets? What about the women's field hockey team? What about the women's basketball team? Should they stop chartering? Like, I wanted some answers there. I don't, so I don't know, like, that was Harbaugh, that's great. His team, like, yeah, that's our coach. And that's great. But, I want somebody to come up there and say, oh, hey, there's a good idea. And so he's been advocating the last few years. Great. But he's got no answers. Except let's get some smarty pants lawyers in a room. Okay. Good luck with that. So I don't know. Harbaugh wasn't dropping any hammer. What he was doing is he was, he was playing to the crowd. Is what he was doing. But look, I like Jim Harbaugh. I thought it was fine, but he comes up with no answers. I want health care and free college for everyone. I want lunches at all schools. College free for everyone. I don't have all the answers. Let's just get a bunch of smart people in a room and figure it out. Okay. That's it. That's where we're at. Let's go through some more and see where we're at. JP is saying, if I told you that Harbaugh had more rushing yards than Bo Jackson in the NFL, would you believe me? I would not have believed you if you would have said who had more. If you'd have said it, considering that I know that you like Michigan, I said, wow, does Jim Harbaugh have that many rushing yards? And Bo did get hurt, but more rushing yards and touchdowns, huh? Rushing touchdowns. Yeah, I wouldn't have. I wouldn't have been able to answer on that. One is a fun fact. 22 watch USC. You didn't think they look good at all. AJ, I did notice this as I was watching Notre Dame. I absolutely hate the new rolling clock, and it adds on a bunch more commercials. I'm going to wait still for a couple more weeks. AJ, I didn't think it was going to matter. Like, let's speed up the game anyways. But I watched Notre Dame and Navy, and it was like, wow, it's almost halftime. Yeah, well, they didn't cut any commercials. I didn't know if they actually added more, but when the clock's running and they've got so much inventory they have to get in, maybe they had to do that. Like, okay, we got to play these longer breaks. They got the guy on the sideline or something. So, yeah, I did notice that it was a factor. It was a factor, Antoine. You are correct. And I was someone in the summer saying it's not going to be that big of a deal. But it was just, 2 games. 2 games. AJ says when you make these college players employees, you will get strikes and labor unions. No, thanks. Yeah, that's going to be part of it. No doubt. Dennis, my dad used to work with you back in the day. Dustin, tell your dad I said hi. Well, where did I work with your dad? I mean, like, was your dad a, see if I can remember that name. You got to give me a little bit more on that. Let's go. We'll take a few more with, before we move on. You have any questions about the team? Doug, before you do a revenue share, perhaps we should give scholarships to all athletes and all other sports at U of M. Well, for people, there's a lot of people that are the Michigan grads and they're really into the money part. What's going on, up at the hill with the athletic department. And they're really big on the endowments, let's endow us. Let's take money and let's give it to the football team. So it's got scholarships that are backed up forever. And then there's also the endowment that, the university has that itself. And it's just treasure chest that just keeps growing and growing. And then, once in a while, like during the pandemic, they're like, well, we're going to have to borrow $1 million against these $1 billion. Everybody's like, no, I don't know. So I don't really, there's going to be an awful lot, Doug, of mouths to feed. That's the thing with revenue sharing. Sounds great, but there's going to be an awful lot of people that are going to be like, and not to pick on the field hockey team, but the backup netminder is going to want hers. And she's going to be entitled to hers. And whatever, let's just say the Big Ten, that $70 million pie that they have over there, if they're going to cut, $10 million off, and let's say they're going to throw it to the football team, no, not so fast. You're going to throw $10 million around to the football team. You're going to need to take the 85 or 100 players on the football team, and you better include the 25 that's on the field hockey team. You better include the rowing team. You better include all of them. I don't know, and maybe there will be a lawyer that says, look, these are the reasons that the money's coming in. So let's just break the line. Let me see if I can circle back and make it even easier. Unless you want Olympic sports to go away and then all the money go to football and some to basketball, I don't see the revenue sharing happening. Why doesn't Michigan reach into their pockets and start sharing their revenue with the players, with the money that they get from TV? Can't they do that? Or is Title IX standing in their way? Let's go. All right. We got a few. We'll take some of the feedback here. Richard, it's good to see him. He says players need representation just like everyone else. Yeah, well, if you start starting to talk about them getting represented, then you start getting a talk of more healthcare, long-term healthcare, more benefits, more money, employees. You're going to tax them. Let's give them W-2. Are they working for the university? There's a lot of things that go into that. Scott wants Carol Harbaugh to coach the East Carolina game. Harbaugh was asked what he's going to do for the game. He didn't know. He didn't know, where he was going to watch it. And he mentioned that his one son might be playing football at that time. Maybe he'll go watch his kid play football. Maybe he'll watch it on TV. He was asked how he was feeling, about not being there on Saturday. And, he didn't know how he was going to feel. He's going to have to wait till Saturday to know how he feels. I think it's all fair. I get that. He went over the times that he missed games. He broke his arm in 84 and missed 6 games. He had a shoulder at the end of the season with the Colts. I think he said he missed 3 games. So he's missed some games, but, it's not the same thing. A lot of people call it a slap on the wrist, and he did not think that was the same thing. He equated it, instead of being a slap on the wrist, to taking a baseball bat to his knees. So, he didn't look at it like that. Yeah, when you're programmed and it's your team and, you oversee the whole thing and you're a CEO, yeah. Even if it's, these teams you're going to kill, I get that part. I think we all do when it comes down to it. Yes, Jason, I'm ready for Saturday. We're all excited about that. Scott wants the professors to get a raise. He wants my NIL for helping these college athletes. I think college costs too much myself. I mean, I think, back in the day, it was always, we get higher education and everything, but then you had to, you walk up to the front, you say, okay, I needed this book, okay, that'll be $95. What? You got $95? This book costs $5. $95. All right. 2 weeks. I'm dropping this class. I'm done. Here, I want my $95 back. No, you can only get $30. It's used now. I'll get a used book, and you can get $5 back for it. I'm keeping it. There's a lot of things like that in college. Let's go. Roderick's ready. Let's do it. Harbaugh, equating, the talent like the writers in Hollywood. Pay them. Pay the hires. Pay the writers in Hollywood. At least we have football now with our everyday problems. Yeah, that's right. We waited. Whatever else you're dealing with, it's on. Like this week for me, Saturday was nice, although I missed the USC game, like I was saying, but I had fun doing what I was doing. But Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I mean, for the Labor Day weekend is special. These consecutive days coming up. I have always said, and I still believe this, that the 4 best consecutive days of the sporting calendar is the start of the NCAA tournament, the Thursday start, not the play-in games that, they don't like you to call play-in games. The first 4 days. That's the best. But this start of the college football season, where they'll have a Thursday game or two, a Friday game or two. And Michigan State, now I call it a tradition. It seems like they've been doing it for at least 10 years. It wouldn't surprise me if it's 20 years. They've been playing, the Spartans on Friday. All right, I'm in. Well, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then there is a game, on Sunday. It's nice built-in stretch of games. I love it. I'm with you on it. Let's see if there's any questions out there. Scott says Michigan has as much talent as anyone except for Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. Yeah, I disagree with that. I think Michigan has as much talent right now as Ohio State, Georgia, and Alabama. You say, yeah, no, the 5 stars. Yeah, well, I'm taking the transfers and I'm taking the name, image, and likeness and the players that Michigan brought back. And I know all those teams got, all that great talent. Michigan has as much talent as all of those teams that you have mentioned there, Scott. So this is some feedback from 2021. 2021 wants their feedback back. Not in 2023. Michigan is taking a back seat in terms of talent to nobody. Nobody. And that includes the Buckeyes, the Dogs, and the Tide. That's when it matters. When will Michigan disclose its starting lineup? I don't know if they have to disclose. There was last week, and I looked at it, I saw some people complaining about, gambling. Like the Big Ten is going to, if you're on an injury list or you missed some practice, exactly the determination or anything, like they'll have to have an injury report. And everybody was, kind of up in arms about that, but they'll take gamblers' money. Yeah, well, this is just it. Michigan, the Big Ten, college football, they all want money, so alcohol sales and gambling, any other vice that you could, get away with, they're going to get away with. And they're going to tell you, hey, you shouldn't be drinking so much. You shouldn't be gambling so much. But hey, 1-800, the bet's on us. And, you get a free drink when you get in. But, the players and all that, that's been going on. It's like the old joke. What's the old joke, Richard? Let's see if I can say this. I don't drink. I don't smoke. I don't lie. Damn it. I left my cigarettes at the bar. That was the old joke. That's what it comes down to in terms of the injuries. But you're not even asking this, Scott. You want to know the starting lineup? I got it for you. It's the JJ McCarthy with Blake Corum, Cornelius Johnson, Roman Wilson, and Colston Loveland as your tight end. I think that they'll probably go with 2 tight ends. So let's get Loveland out there, and it sure seems like AJ Barner, I'm going to say he gets the start. And then from left to right, I'm going to have Carson Barnhart at left tackle with Keegan and Drake Nugent, Zach Zinter, and at right tackle, I am going to go with Trente Jones. I think that's going to be your starting 5 on the offensive line. Is that 11? There's your starters. On defense, I think you're going to get I know that Jenkins and Mason Graham are going to be up front at defensive tackle. And then let's McGregor and Harrell. There's 4 for you. We know that Junior Colson is going to be one. I think Kenneth Grant will make 6. I think Will Johnson, Rod Moore, Makari Page, and then we have the other corner is Josh Wallace. Is that 10? Who am I missing? Maybe another linebacker. I got the 2 edges. Somebody on that other side. Jenkins, Graham, and Grant. I don't know. That's close to it. You can replay that one. Sorry if that took so long, but that's very close to what the starters are going to be. Oh, Mark, long show today. No, Mark, we started at 2. I went down to to the press conferences down there. Let me, since Mark is here, we had something in it. It's off football, but I want to get to it. I looked it up. So, Mark, you're here. I want to answer that question. First, I want to tell everyone, practice is over. They're into game week, but you want to know what's going on with that starting lineup and you want those questions answered. Well, you would go on the Maize and Blue Review and you should join up now that you're into football season, everything going on, constantly talking about Michigan, recruiting, transfer portal. Go to michigan.rivals.com to get that done. And oh, yeah, Mark, look at that. 60% off the annual subscription price. Use the promo code KICKOFF23. KICKOFF23. Go to michigan.rivals.com to do that. So I told you about Sherrone Moore. He is now out for the opener. So you got Jesse Minter as the head coach, and the news today, Kirk Campbell as your offensive coordinator for that first game. And oh yeah, I said I wanted to get that for Mark. Let's see if I looked it up. Here it is, Mark. Mark on Friday made a mention of Wayne Gretzky not being the captain when he was with the LA Kings, and I thought, looked at my memory bank, and I don't have a photographic memory, like a good one, I guess, but a picture of Wayne Gretzky in that Kings jersey came up, and I looked in my head, and there was a C on Wayne Gretzky's jersey in my head. And then I also scanned everything else that I knew about Wayne Gretzky, and I said, Wayne Gretzky was the captain of the Los Angeles Kings. But, Mark, I'm going to have to say, I don't know if this is what he meant, but he was correct. Wayne Gretzky was with the Kings for 7 years, but if you look, Lucky Luke Robitaille won a Stanley Cup with the Detroit Red Wings. Lucky Luke was the captain in 92 and 93. Gretzky had a back injury, so he gave the C to Lucky Luke. And so there it is. And if that's what, we weren't having a conversation, but I was like, you're wrong. But you were right, Mark. There was one season in there that Gretzky did not have the C. So there we go. Scott saying you could name 15 guys on offense and 18 on defense. That's right. There you go. JP wants to spice it up, bring in the sisters back. Yeah, I think the fans was coming down like it's the coaching carousel. You got, Minter one game and then Moore's out. Who's coaching? Hey, his dad, he's up. Strength and conditioning. I think that it is spiced it up a little bit. It's gone from, hey, it's a non-conference and all these different things to, yeah, these coaches, it's going to be okay, but they're able to go through it against these teams and get the experience. It's making the best of a situation. It's of a bad situation, making the best of not the greatest situation. It's making chicken salad out of chicken feathers. So that's what's happened here. Mark, do you cover whether it's a 50 burger or 500 yards on offense? Mark, I'm picking 52.9 right now, but I know the computers and everything else that people look at. I'll feel it. That was my first. That was just a gut. How my brain processed it. Let's put it out there. I always like this kind of talk. ECU is a better team than Navy. Okay. So you could be right. Let's see. Gary can't wait until game day. He's going to the Michigan State game, and he can't wait. So you can't wait till, let's get to Saturday. You can't wait till October 21st. All right. Let's see, debating how good ECU is. Sam Hartman was a dog when he was with his other team. I know and respect him. Do you want a dog at quarterback too? I thought his dog was just like everywhere else, maybe not quarterback. But hey, dog at quarterback too. Let's go. USC, people ripping on USC. We just keep going through all this. What else do we have that people are thinking about? Richard is not predicting a score. He's just going with 15-0. That's fair. Here's Derek. Too many good quarterbacks out there. Gave up 400 yards to San Jose State University, 9-3. He's talking about USC, and then he says he likes Washington in that division. Derek, so do I. Here's a question from Mark. Does Minter run the big offense or protect the defense with conservative ball control? Love the defensive coordinator, Plant 56. Yeah, what kind of, I asked Minter, and I knew it was situational. I said, hey, it's situational, but you're going to go for it on the first series, 4th and down from the goal line? He said, wait and see. I wasn't expecting him to say, yes, I'll be going for it. I mean, they'll have a pretty good idea of when to go for it and when the coach needs to, when Minter needs to say, okay, I don't know how much overriding. I do think, when you're always on defense, and then next thing you know, you're dealing with you got additional people in your headset, and then you got to talk to the ref. Yeah, what's going on. You got to complain about the calls and everything else. But yeah, 56. What did I say? 52 right now. So you're a little bit higher than me when it comes down to that. Let's see. Anything new going on here? Let's see. No, Title IX. Yeah, well, Title IX, you get a little Title IX talk when you start talking about let's pay the players and revenue share. Let's do that. Antoine didn't like what was going on. Cap tuition. Head coaches should be capped at $5 million. Yeah, cap. Nobody likes a cap. Richard, his kids finished college already. Let's do it. Scott says Harbaugh was a TV star on Saved by the Bell. Rumor was that he was hanging out with Screech. I would have said, hey, rumor was that he was hanging out with Kelly. I don't know the age difference. I don't know. If he was in the pros and they're in high school, okay, let's just move on. There you go. I'll take the job. Let's do it. Let's do it. Okay, a couple more from people that have not weighed in yet. Let's see. Blank is in. College used to be free. Greed changed that. Take away the bloated military budget. Give that money to people to form free college and free healthcare. Yeah. That's a good spot to go. A lot of money in that military budget. That's a good one. Budget. If universities want free college, why do they charge? They don't. Universities don't want free college. They got a great thing going on. 22 says there's a little drama in Columbus. Yeah, there is. That is some trouble. Montreal, I couldn't stand watching that Navy offense. Maybe Harbaugh offense is not that bad. There you go, Montreal. Now that is fun. Let's do it. Let's see. A couple last ones here. Marvin says, why are we talking about Ohio in the chat? Well, where have you been, Marvin, all summer? This show has been, hey, Michigan's looking pretty good. Excited about the season. Ohio State sucks, and let's kind of rip them, go over it. But, that's kind of, rivalry. It's how rivalries work a little bit. You're excited. You're really excited about your team. You're really excited about Michigan, but you're also excited about taking shots at Ohio State and Michigan State. For a lot of people, that goes hand in hand. That's fandom, I'm not over here telling anybody that that's the wrong thing to do, or, hey, it's just about rooting for your own thing. You do whatever you want. And if I looked and took a step back at a profile of college football fans, they do love their teams and they love to hate on their opponents. I look on, Twitter. I look on X, once in a while. And there's a guy who's committed every day to putting up the number of days since Ohio State beat Michigan, because they didn't play the pandemic year. It rankles Ohio State fans because they know they're a 30-point favorite or whatever in that game, and then Michigan didn't play it. And then since Michigan's won the last 2 years, this guy uses those 365 days, and it just, it drives them crazy that they're able to use that. But, it's heck, that Scott Bell has made a career off of the hatred of the rivalry. I mean, he's great at it. He understands every single nuance of that. Just, go after your opponent, any weakness. That's what you do. All right. Dustin is back. Oh, the dandelion. Oh, yeah. Dandelion, tell him I said hi. What's up? Some of these I'm not going to go with. A little, let's see. If we beat OSU again and NIL deals get made, I think we flip some solid recruits from OSU and Miami. Yeah. If Michigan beats OSU again, I think that their recruiting is going to be stronger. Never mind, it was in Ann Arbor. Still tells me the story about Linda. Oh, yeah, call her Linda. There was, I don't know if caller Linda was definitely a famous caller. She migrated over to Detroit Sports Talk as well. But, the one thing about caller Linda is she loved Michigan. And she was very sweet. I haven't thought about her in 10 years, but she would always be like, "Oh, hello." She was great. I think she was out of Lansing. All right, I'm going to tell this story. There was a caller one time when I worked in Ann Arbor. His name was Marcus. And he loved football, but I think he loved basketball more than most of his calls had to do with the pick and roll. If you could master the pick and roll was like the answer for everything. The team's struggling, they need to get the pick and roll. Whoever it was, spoon feed the big man with the pick and roll. I mean, he loved the pick and roll. So I had never met Marcus. And then one time he came in, he was leaving me a tape so I could review. He was making markings on a tape and he left it for me up at the front desk. And I wanted to meet Marcus because he called all the time. And so I was hanging out. And then I said to the lady, the secretary or whatever, the receptionist up front, there's going to be a guy coming in, Marcus. And she said, "Oh, he was just in. You missed him." "Oh, no." And he left a tape. "What did he look like?" She was like, "He was wearing a Milwaukee Bucks starter's jacket or whatever." "Did he talk about the pick and roll?" "No." So I missed him and she described him. But then I would go places in wherever. I would go over to play basketball at the CCRB and somebody would say, "Hey, that Marcus that ever calls you? He was in here today playing basketball." I'm like, "Really?" He's like, "Oh, yeah, we've known him for 10 years. Pick and roll." They're like, "Oh, yeah, pick and roll." And I'm like, "What do you look like?" The description from the Marcus to the one for the reception, totally different. And, "Oh, no, he's 6'5". And this kept happening. I say this because it was fascinating to me. There was somebody that knew him from a restaurant. "Oh, yeah, Marcus, know him all the time." And it just always was going on to where I would be out somewhere over 10 or 15 years and somebody would come up to me and they would say, "You know that guy Marcus that calls the show?" And I'd always be like, "Yeah." And I would just wait for it. They would say, "I know him." And I'd be like, "Oh, yeah?" And they're like, "Yeah, he works as a painter out in Jackson." But the incredible thing about it is, it was just like your average person. But they were so sure of that they had met, not only had they met him, but they have known him for years. And, he was a painter in Jackson. He worked at the CCRB. He was short. He was tall. I mean, it was an amazing thing. And then Marcus also moved over to Detroit radio, attempted to, but a lot of the other hosts, they weren't as patient. Like Marcus, the first time would call up and roll out with the pick and roll, and they'd be like, "All right." And so the next day, he would, they weren't allowing him to call in. It would be the next week, but then he'd say, "Let me guess, you're talking about the pick and roll," and so they wouldn't let him call in anymore. And then he was just done. And I haven't heard from him in 20 years, or at least 15. So I don't know. That's my Marcus story. I think it's better than that. I just haven't told it in a while, but it's fun. Okay, let's get down here, and we'll grab a few others. Richard thinks that the tight end will carry Michigan this year. 22 says Michigan's better everywhere. Everywhere else. Everywhere else than where? Yeah, I guess I missed it when people are... Okay. Quorum. But since Quorum's the easy one, I'm going to go with Derek. And he's thinking Roman Wilson. So am I. All right. And here's the coach asking me a question. Do you get the ask the coaches questions? Because I would like to know if Michigan plans on rolling 2 O-lines. I have been asking questions. I was asking Harbaugh about Title IX and what prevents him from Michigan reaching in their own pockets. And he said, I'm not this, you got to get a bunch of smart lawyers in there. He didn't have the answers to my questions. He's not the Michigan method. He is not planning on rolling 2 O-lines. He is planning on playing, I think, and they haven't solidified this, but when he was talking about the possibility of playing 2 sets of tackles from game 1 to game 2, I think that's still very much a possibility of what's happening. But the whole thing, probably not, unless it's a surprise there, which it could be as well. Were the couple things that I took out of what Harbaugh had to say today. Jair Hill, a freshman corner, while he mentioned that Wallace looked like he was going to get the start, I forgot exactly how he put it. Jair Hill was mentioned by Harbaugh talking about the corners. Now, he mentioned McBurrows and Keyshawn Harris, and then Minter was up there, and Minter had a lot to say about Jair Hill too. A lot. He just mentioned him. You can just tell when these guys are talking about him. So I am thinking about Jair Hill is going to be in the mix there at center based on what I heard there today. But I do have to tell Antoine this. There was one part where Cornelius Johnson was up there, and he was talking about how he worked with some of the younger receivers. And he said that they might go to him and talk about route concepts. And inside my mind, I almost raised my hand and said, do you guys have a limited route tree? Or do you guys, how expansive is your route tree? Or could you talk a little bit more about those route concepts? And it was like just at the tail end there, Antoine, so I didn't get a chance to get in there and talk about the route trees and all of that. Montreal was hoping for the OC duties to go to Campbell in game 1, and he got it. Mark is now talking about the Rangers and Wayne Gretzky. We go to hockey, and now you're going over the Rangers. Well, the Rangers were the last team that Gretzky played. He didn't deserve at that point to be wearing the C. Did he wear it with the Blues when he was with them? He was done by then, even though he was the greatest player. So I don't know. This would have been a nice choice. Scar coached the ECU game. Michigan is better than Notre Dame. Yes, I think that's true. Marvin with a hot take for the college football season. Ohio will lose 4 games this year. Ohio State, I think he means. 22 loves it, but he thinks it's going to be 3. Michigan, Notre Dame, and someone else. Penn State. Who has it better than Michigan fans right now? Scott says nobody. Okay. It's great to have everybody in here. I think 2:00, since I'm going back on Wednesday, it's going to be the time for this week. So we're going to see how that works out. And then we'll make some firm plans for this college football season with how we're going to broadcast and everything else. Okay. So that'll do it. We'll see you over on the Den of the Maize and Blue Review. We got 2 things left for you. One is I want to tell everybody, thanks to Reno's hot dog stand and catering. These guys, you check check Instagram and Facebook. These guys are all over the place. Northfield Winery and Brewery coming up. But you get that Detroiter dog. You can see the menu over here. The Detroiter dog is perfect. It's the perfect hot dog. You tell them that Good Afternoon Michigan Football sent you when you run by the guys. All right, the basketball team, they have added a player in the nick of time. School just starting, Lee Aliyah. He is out of Argentina. He played for Argentina's under-19 national team. He is 6'9". The story there, you had Providence, West Virginia, Michigan was in the mix there, and they're able to land the 18-year-old out of Argentina in Aliyah. I put that a YouTube video of Aliyah in his game, and I watched probably 10 minutes of it. He's not going to be helping much this year. He looks like he's an exceptional athlete at 6'9". Like, if you would tell me like that the football team was bringing him in to be like a tight end, I'd be like, wow, you can really see the athleticism. He's up there dunking, rebounding, and putbacks. You can see the incredible athleticism at 6'9", running the floor and all that. He doesn't have a lot of offensive moves, but he's 18. And he's coming in as a freshman. So, they got a scholarship, and rather than going the transfer route, they go the international route. And so they get a player in there. And so we'll see. Good athlete. That's what I took away from watching the 10 minutes video, but I don't think that you're going to see much in terms of playing time. So I guess we're going to see if I'm right about that. I wouldn't mind being wrong. Hey, Aliyah's a star. Wow. Okay, let's do it. All right. What's up? What's the dealio? Probably heard that one before. All right. I will talk with you coming up on a Wednesday. Until then, everybody have a great day. We'll see you later. Bye.